Here we go again. Another sermon. Is this going to be any good? Am I ready? Is anyone listening? Does anyone even care? Am I making a difference? Are they just going to reject me? Yeah. I know God is powerful, but no matter how much work I do, no matter how hard I try, does it really matter? Geez, Todd, after almost 25 years, why are you still struggling with this stuff? Anyone else have billions of thoughts rolling around in their head all of the time? Anyone else have this negative narrative that's just constantly going off in your head? Yeah, we all have voices in our head. That does not mean that you are crazy. It actually means that you are normal. See, our thought life is crazy all of the time. And the truth is, our lives are always moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts. What we think shapes who we are. The world inside of us creates the world outside of us. Now, you might think this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's not. Paul puts it this way in his letter to the Philippians in chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. He says, "Dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and noble and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all that you have learned and received from me and everything you heard from me and saw me do. Then the God of peace will be with you." In these three sentences, Paul moves from your thoughts, that's fix your thoughts, to action, put these things into practice, to experience, the God of peace will be with you. And the hard reality is that in 10 years, we will have someone looking back at us in the mirror, and that person who's staring back to you is shaped by the thoughts that you are having today. And an even harder reality is the fact that who you are today is based upon the thoughts that you were having 10 years ago. Our life experiences are a reflection of our thought life. That's a crazy thought, isn't it? What we think will become who we become. It'll determine who we become tomorrow. And an even crazier thought, and we probably don't even realize is happening. We don't think about the power of our thought life. We don't think about how much it changes us. God made us this way. And science is finally catching up to what God told us through Solomon almost 3,000 years ago. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, New King James Version. "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." See, both the Bible and science teach us that our lives are moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts. And if they can both agree, then we have to ask ourselves, do I like the direction my thoughts are taking me? See, tonight you and I are embarking on a brand new series, a brand new adventure. One where if we put in the hard work and with God's help, it will actually transform your mind. You can stop believing the lies that are holding you back. You can end the vicious cycle of thoughts that are destructive to you and those around you. You can allow God to renew your mind by saturating yourself with His unchanging truth. And you can let His thoughts become your thoughts. Now, you've probably already discovered firsthand in your own mind that your mind is a battlefield. So often, the war is between the thoughts of faith and the thoughts of fear. And so often, we want to trust God, and yet at the same time, we want to be in control of the outcome. Sometimes we can walk in moments so filled with spiritual confidence that knowing that God is with you, and then the next moment we have this crippling insecurity that just paralyzes us and holds us back. That's the battlefield of your mind. Your mind is a battlefield, and the battle for your life is always won and lost in your mind. Now, picture a battle with me with two opposing sides. Now imagine that the people on one side don't realize they're actually in a battle. And so the enemy is attacking and he's just simply taking them out one by one, picking them off, but they're absolutely oblivious to that. Now it's kind of hard to imagine because that's absolutely absurd. Agreed? But every day you are engaged in a battle. And the question is, are you even aware of it? You may not recognize the battle that you are in while it is wreaking havoc in your life. Have you ever wondered why you can't shake a habit? Why you feel like your life just can't connect with God? Why you lose your temper so easily? Why you make such bad decisions? Why you and your spouse fight so much? Why you're consumed with worry or fear or negativity? There's a reason why. Your mind is at war. It is a war zone and you are under attack. And it's critical, it's vital that you become aware of this fight. The Apostle Paul makes this clear in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. He says, "We are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against the evil rulers and the authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against the evil spirits in heavenly places." See, you cannot change what you do not confront. If you ignore the battle, you're going to lose the battle. See, your enemy is not your boss, it's not your spouse, it's not your child, it's not your ex, it's not the other person from the other political party, it's not your neighbor with the demonic dog that is always barking. So you may not realize it, but you are only fighting against one person, and that's Satan. Now that might sound a little too extreme for some of us, and that's exactly what your enemy wants. See, there's an old saying that goes, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he did not exist. See, Satan doesn't want you to believe in him. He knows that if you ignore him, he can invade your mind with his thoughts. He can plant seeds of doubt and confusion and worry and depression and anxiety, and they'll just continue to grow in your life. See, Satan despises you with more hatred than you can ever imagine. He wants to keep you from God and from the life God has for you. He wants to keep you from an intimate relationship with those you love the most. He wants to rob you of joy and peace. He wants to strip you of fulfillment that you could have knowing that you're making a difference in lives. So how does he do this? He just simply lies. He lies to you. Satan is a liar, and his strategy to defeat you is to persuade you to believe his lies. Jesus warns us in John chapter 8, verse 44, that he has always, this is Satan, has always hated the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he lies, he is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. I think it's super interesting that the only time Satan is called a father is here in the connection with his lies. See, understand this. Satan is your enemy. And every day he is prowling around and he is watching you and he is looking for places where you might believe a lie. And so he can plant those seeds of doubt and confusion and worry and depression and anxiety and just allow them to grow. If you succeed at something, maybe he can convince you that you don't actually need God. If you fail, he'll try to brainwash you into thinking you will always be a failure. You have a great first date, and he's going to suggest that romance is the only thing that will ever make you happy. Your first date is a disaster, and he's going to whisper that you'll never have anyone love you for who you are. When you look in the mirror, he's the one telling you that you are fat and unattractive. If you speak harshly to someone, he's whispering, you're an awful, hateful person. God could never love you. If you open up to someone, he's there telling you, oh, it was stupid to share that deeply. Now they're just going to reject you. If you're trying to stay away from porn, he will tell you everyone else is doing it. And then if you give in to porn, he'll make you feel like you're the only sick person disgusting enough to do that. See, you cannot win with Satan. Satan is convincing, and he is trying to lock you in a prison with his lies. Now here's an important truth. Please listen. Do I have your attention? I need you to listen to this moment. Any lie believed as truth will affect your life as though it is true. See, every single one of us believe lies about ourselves. And those lies we believe affect our lives as though they are true because we actually believe they are true. We believe things in our life that are simply not true. Things about ourselves and things about our situations, things about our faith, things about our relationships, things about our future, all sorts of things. And for many, many years, my strongest thoughts have always been about my shortcomings, my inner voice screaming that I'm simply not good enough, that no matter how hard I try, I will never measure up, that I will always be rejected, that no one cares, that I'll never be good enough. And many of you are familiar with these voices because they're just as loud in your head as well. And when our strongest thoughts are centered on our weaknesses, they will lead you to a place that you simply do not want to go. Paul uses a word to describe these beliefs, and he uses the word stronghold. Now, the word stronghold is translated originally from the Greek language, urama, which means to fortify. It's in ancient times, a stronghold was a building, a fortress built on the highest peak of the city. And this citadel was surrounded by this reinforced wall, maybe up to 20 foot thick. And in times of war, if the city was attacked, the stronghold was seen as impenetrable. Leaders were hidden there so they could not be captured or killed. And Paul compares the lies we believe to these strongholds. Like the walls of the stronghold, our lies have been reinforced over and over, and they've become bigger and stronger. We have believed them for so long that they've actually become a part of us. And we believe our walls are protecting us. We think they're impenetrable. And yet, often, they keep us from knowing the truth. We have mental and emotional strongholds, lies that have a strong hold on each of us. And in order to win the war in your mind, you have to bring down these strongholds and know the truth. Paul puts it this way in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. He says, we use God's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and destroy false arguments. See, your mind is a battlefield, and the battle for your life is always won or lost in your mind. Your mind is a war zone. It's under attack, and you cannot change what you do not confront. And if you ignore the battle, you're going to lose the battle. Now for some good news. You have this supernatural resurrection, roll the stone away power available to you right now. To begin to change your mind, to transform your thoughts, to actually win this war. See, you are not a prisoner of the war unless you choose to be. Those days can be over. That is absolutely your call because God offers you a choice on whether or not to continue to believe your lies or actually accept His truth about you. The lies will keep you from living the joy and the freedom and the confines of less than if that's what you choose to do. Who you are today is a result of the thoughts you've had in the past. And who you become in the future will be reflected by the thoughts that you're having today. The battle for your life is won and lost in your mind. Your thoughts will control you. So you have to control your thoughts. Those lies, we believe, have become fortresses, strongholds. You have had them for so long, they actually feel like they are a part of you. And so changing that, it's going to take some work. And if you want to truly change your life, you have to do more than just change your behavior. So that's just a Band-Aid. See, religion has always been about behavior modification, while Jesus has always been about life transformation. Now, you've tried behavior modification. We all have, right? We make these New Year's resolutions. We make some commitment to start something or to stop something. Maybe that's losing weight or quitting smoking or praying more, stop yelling at the kids or, just being one of those really jerky drivers. Well, it might work for a few weeks, but pretty soon you're right back doing the same thing you were doing before. Why? Well, because we haven't gotten rid of the root of the problem. And that is the lie that we believe. Now, over the next few weeks, we are going to help you change your thought life. We're going to give you some tools, but you actually have to do the work. And so the first step to winning the war in your mind is you need to identify the lie that we believe. Identifying, destroying the lie is actually pulling down that stronghold. Now know this, you cannot defeat what you cannot define. You have to identify the lie that has become a stronghold for you. You must realize the negative impact it has had on you and on others. So the first piece of homework that I have for you is that you actually need to do a thought audit. What I mean by that is you need to actually think about what you think about. You need to literally realize what you were thinking about throughout the day, and as you go through your normal day, you need to take stock of your thoughts. So you need to write them down. You need to type them up in the notes in your phone. You need to record them on a voice memo app to transcribe them later. Trust me, if you really want to change, then you need to invest the time to figure out, what am I thinking about regularly? And you also have to be honest. Are my thoughts tearing me down? Do I worry about these things? Does my self-talk cause me to actually shrink back in fear? Do my thoughts cause me to keep people at a distance? Are my unhealthy thoughts keeping me from the life that God wants of me? Do I actually lean towards imagining the worst case scenarios? You have to consider all the dynamics and the patterns of your day. Now be aware. Don't lie to yourself about the lies you tell yourself. You need to pray and ask God to reveal to you anything He wants you to see and understand in how you are thinking. And once you see your thoughts in actual black and white, then you can begin to work on your thought life. Jesus tells us that this truth will set you free. But first, we must reveal the truth about the lies that we believe. The second step to winning the war is to discover the lies that we believe. So, as you think about what you're thinking about, you got to ask yourself some probing questions. Why am I doing this? When did this start? How does this make me feel? Why do I feel this way? What's driving my behavior? Why did this start? Why do I insist on always being in control when I know down deep I'm absolutely not? What is the real need I'm trying to meet here with this wrong thinking? See, those types of questions are going to lead you to pinpoint the lie. So let's say your question leads you to detect a theme in your life, that you seem to sabotage yourself. You let people walk all over you. You don't get the promotion. You don't even apply for the promotion because you believe that thing will never happen to you. You would love to have a special someone in your life, but right now you're not even looking because you're not sure you'll ever even find that person. And if you do, they'll just reject me, right? And so as you're searching your feelings, you'll begin to understand the lies. See, problems are easy to identify. So if you're willing to ask some probing questions, you will be able to pinpoint the lie that are holding you captive. You self-investigate this pattern of self-sabotage, and perhaps you have this epiphany. I think I'm a victim. I believe I can never win. And maybe your problem is that you are constantly worrying. You're always trying to plan out all of the details of your future because you cannot stand not knowing the plan. You get alone, you turn off your phone, you pray. Be honest with yourself. Ask probing questions. You need to discover the lie that you believe. And remember, you're in a battle. The battle is in your mind. Your entire life, Satan has been trying to bait you so that he can entice you into lies, so that he can capture you and imprison you. And so now it's time for a little offense. You've been held captive by these lies for too long. So now it's time to take those lies and capture them. Take those lies captive. Paul writes this in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. He says, we destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing God. We capture their rebellious thoughts and we teach them to obey Christ. Which leads us to the third step for tonight. of winning the war in your mind is to simply know the truth. To renew your mind, to transform your life, you need to remove the lies and replace them with truth. Once again, Jesus tells us in John chapter 8, as you will know the truth will set you free. That is a promise from God. I love the way that Paul tells this to Timothy. He says, gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts when they learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. See that? The truth is, Satan has arranged enough hurtful circumstances in your life, in key places, key moments, in order to get you to believe a lie. The situations were just enough to kind of jolt, to give you a little bit of a shock, a sting of pain in your heart, and in that moment you decided it's not even worth trying to risk anymore. And his scheme is to twist your mind, because he can, to divert you from your purpose, to distract you from God's voice, to destroy your potential. And if he can get you to believe a lie, your life will be affected as though that lie were truth. Now, the good news is that God is ready to renew your mind, to lead you to that knowledge of truth. This is not some sort of self-help process. This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about willing yourself better. This is literally taking God's truth and embracing it personally into your life. And honestly, you don't have what it takes to win this war. I don't either. And we know this because we've both tried. You've tried to change your thinking. You've tried to change your life on your own. And you've done everything you can. And you always end up back at the same place. And keep doing what you're doing is never going to change anything. You keep falling down, falling short. I get it. I've been there, done that. I have the t-shirt. All that trying and failing has led you to a place where you just feel like giving up. What's the problem? The power you need is a power you don't possess. Relying on your own self-help, that ain't going to work. Self-help will only go skin deep. You have a devious spiritual enemy. You have reinforced strongholds. And what stands against you is formidable. Fighting it in your own power is like attacking Godzilla with a fly swatter. It's just not going to work. What has the power against the lies of Satan is the truth of God. He created us. He knows the plans for us. He is the author of truth. He is the author of life. And remember that popular definition, keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results? That's just stupid. If you have tried it with everything, you need to stop that and you need to try it with God. Get different results by doing it differently. So you don't give up, you actually look up. Look up because you have a gracious and generous God who has the power you need and wants to share it with you to bring down those strongholds. So take God's truth and declare it. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say the lie is, I'm a victim. Nothing good ever happens to me. Well, your declaration of truth is, I'm not a victim, but I'm a victor in Christ because I can do all things through him who gives me strength. Perhaps the lie that you believe is God can't be trusted. I need to be in control of my own life. Well, the declaration of truth is, God loves me more than I love myself. He has my best interest at heart and he can be trusted. So here's your homework for this week. Number 1, you need to take a thought audit. You need to think about what you think about. You need to write down your thoughts that you have with yourself. Number 2, ask yourself probing questions to pinpoint what lie you believe. And then 3, discover and declare the truth God has to proclaim over you. See, this is not something you do just once. This is something that you have to do 1,000 times in your life, maybe a dozen times a day. Because these battles between your lies and God's truth, they're actually worth fighting for. And anything you change in your life can affect future generations and alter the course of your family line for Christ. God bless you, my friends. Have a great discussion together. We'll see you soon.